It's time once again for everybody to come aboard at One and Done Train. There's no turning back now. 2 weeks in the books with plenty of storylines across the land of college basketball to keep us busy with this game that we love so much. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. My name is Jay Heinrich, and if you don't know, now you know I'm the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train at Dr. William Cannon on X. Our show is at One and Done to CBB over there on Elon's hellhole. But do yourself a favor, and while you're there, follow this man first. Around here, he's the comma chaser himself. You can call him the OG Money Mike. We call him El Capitan himself. At MC Allen 34, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Allen. Mike, what it do?
Wrapping up week 2 in the books, my friend. It was pretty good in the DFS streets. I know we're battling up there at the top in some tournaments, man. So it's been a good run on that. Just hit another prize pick tonight. So doing good in the gambling streets, and then just following the sport, man. It's just good to kind of be back in the flow, and we got all kinds of stuff going on, man. So if you guys haven't checked it out, just make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. We got all kinds of different shows and maybe some stuff coming up in the future. So just you got to stay tuned for that.
Oh, we're teasing some new things here on One and Done. Some very cool things could be right around the corner. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you haven't already, turn on the notification bells. Like our guys, Forklift Jeremy, dropping the flameage in the chat already. And then, of course, our guy Darren. Shout out to the Mean Green. That's right. If you don't know, now you know. Shouting out the Comma Chaser himself, our guy Mike. Why don't you join Darren and Forklift Jeremy in the chat, hit that subscribe button, and do your thing. But let's get to it. We got a new segment around these parts on our Sunday shows, and it's the opening possession. Mike, what is your opening possession going to look like tonight?
Yeah, man, I started off last Sunday with a 3-ball. I'm going to follow it back up, man. I like to play fast and get up a bunch of threes. So first thing that's on my mind, man, Kentucky. Jalen Lowe re-injuring his shoulder during practice. It's that same shoulder that he's had issues with, where he injured it during the Kentucky blue and white game right before the season started. Status still up in the air, man. Coach Pope said a few days ago that he's in the process of getting second and third opinions. So obviously this is it's a big blow to the backcourt. Now they're one of the deepest teams in the country, so they certainly have guys that could fill that position, like Jasper Johnson, Denzel Aberdeen. Do you feel like with Lowe, like Kentucky would have that veteran experience to really run the team and give them a little more upside? So we'll have to see where this all goes in the coming weeks, man. We're all hoping for the best for Jalen Lowe there. Second thing on my mind, man, Michigan's flirting with danger the last couple of games. Tweeted out the other day. They needed an overtime win to beat an average Wake Forest team, and they barely escaped Fort Worth down the stretch to beat what I think is a not so good TCU squad. I know it was on the road, but still. A lot of concerns that we had with them last year are kind of still there. The backcourt isn't something that we can trust. Cadeau, 31% turnover rate to start the year and only shooting 30% from three. That's not great with Roddy Gale and Amari Burnett not being playmakers and this 3-big lineup, Jay, man, Lindebor, Johnson, Amara. It's just tough, man. I think I would love to see them bring Morez off the bench, kind of like what they did in the preseason. Have Trey McKinney, who the freshman, he's looked really good playing next to Cadeau and Burnett as a secondary playmaker and someone that can space the floor. And then Gale off the bench is like a spark. But yeah, I'm a little concerned with Michigan going forward. And Arizona, the opposite direction, surging after another big week. So I don't know that anybody has a better resume outside of Purdue beating, Alabama on the road to start the year. I mean, they've got 2 big wins, knocking off UCLA Friday, who we were really high on to start the year. And the depth on this team is really starting to show. So, the freshmen struggled in the UCLA game, going 3 for 14 with 9 turnovers between Barry's and Pete. But in steps in Anthony Dorloso off the bench. He dropped 20 points and 3 assists. Jaden Bradley just dominant down the stretch in these big games, and he's kind of taking his game to another level. So I would not sleep on them to challenge Houston at the top of the Big 12. Jay, what is your opening possession looking like, my friend?
Yeah, it's a nice segue into my 3-ball as well, because Houston may have themselves a new top dog. Easy for me to say, but easier for him to play. Kingston Fleming's freshman guard. What do you know? Another freshman showing that he can just put a team of that quality on his back and carry them at the beginning part of this season. After 8 points in 21 minutes in the opener against Lehigh, the talented freshman dropped 20 and 19 in his next couple of games. And if you're not impressed because you don't think the competition was tough enough in those 2 games, okay, how does a team high 22 points along with 5 boards and 7 dimes on Sunday against Auburn sound. Does that whet your appetite for the talent that is Kingston Flemings? Don't get me wrong, Uzan and Sharp, they're going to be those guys that are going to lead this team through the tough battles of the season. But Flemings, like so many freshmen, have shown he has what it takes to lead a team, a very, very good team at that. Number 2 in my 3-pointer here in my opening possession, Reloaded St. Mary's looks legit. Friend of the show, Randy Bennett, once trash talked my butcher paper background when we interviewed him back in the day. But he has led this program to a couple early season wins against some really solid opponents in St. Thomas and close your ears there in North Texas. But with St. Mary's, the Mikey Lewis breakout is in full effect. He's gone from being just a 3-point shooter off the bench, basically, to playing 27 minutes a game, averaging 22 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. Just a classic Randy Bennett coaching job there. Sure, they're sub 350 in the nation in tempo, but they're a top 25 Ken Palm type team. And they just play the game the right way. You watch Randy Bennett coach teams, and it is what it is. So they're that good and they're that talented, firing off on all cylinders, looking like they're going to be ready to fight to repeat as WCC Conference Tournament champions. And then lastly, it's UConn. Okay, we got to talk about UConn. Should we consider them back among the elites? I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet. They passed their first true test of the season, beating a top 10 at the time, BYU, 86-84. Defense looks much improved. Demary's at the point guard. He's shining. 3 more tests, though, in their next 4 games. I think that's really going to tell the story. So top 5, Arizona comes to town this coming Wednesday. Illinois visits on Black Friday. And then Kansas gets the Huskies at Allen Fieldhouse on December 2nd. So we're going to learn really quickly if UConn should be, held in that regard among the elites, of course, across the country. And if they come through there with a few wins, Mike, like we could definitely be considering them as, again, no shot. It's the Dan Hurley-led squad, okay? Like let's not beat her in the bush a little bit. Like this, they won 2 out of the last 3 national championships. Okay, like this is. I don't know if you heard, but he could have coached LeBron James. Did you know that?
Yeah. Look at this chat, man.
The chat is absolutely blowing up. Isaac telling me we don't talk about UConn. Hold on a second, Isaac. We had to do it a little bit here. Today. Cam, I remember you mentioning your hatred for Dan Hurley. In those betting streets. They wasn't really working out. But that's okay, Cam. That's okay. We're happy that you showed up here on One and Done to let us know. And of course to hop in there like you always do. Johnny K, everybody, the gang's all here, Mike. The gang is all here, man. It feels good to be firing off on all cylinders on One and Done, just like our friends over at St. Mary's are firing off on all cylinders. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. That fuels us. If you hit that subscribe button, like it's like a battery charge almost. You know what I'm saying? It gets me going a little bit here. I do need a second to recharge, though. And what a convenient time to do so, because it's time for my favorite segment on this show. And it's not even my segment. If you don't know what my favorite segment is, you're about to know. It's called the Mid-Major Minute.
All right, it's that time. Another 3 conference spotlight in the mid-majors. Like to spend a couple of minutes, chatting about what's going on in the mid-major streets. And want to take a stop here at the Big West. You got the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors 4-1. Now they almost pulled the upset over Oregon in the opener, but fell on a game-winning layup. But since then, Iran Ganot squad has racked up 4 straight wins, and their analytics profile is pretty solid. They're 94th on KenPom. Defensively, they've been really good, 31st in adjusted efficiency. Center Isaac Johnson nearly averaging a double-double, almost 15 points, 9 boards. South Dakota transfer Dre Bullock is also off to a strong start. And then they have another big matchup coming up here Thursday, and they host Arizona State. That's going to be pretty big for their non-con profile, and to see if they're pretty legit facing up against a Power 5 opponent. We'll switch it up and go to the MAAC, the Iona Gales. The Gales are ripping and running to start the season. the 24th fastest tempo in the country. They picked up quality wins over Hofstra and Fordham, along with a win over Kansas City. And new head coach Dan Giroux's squad is shooting lights out, ranking 25th in the country in three-point shooting percentage. The star of the show has been guard C.J. Anthony, and he rode the bench 3 years at Cincinnati. And we love to talk about down transfers, and this was a perfect example of a guy getting to show what he can do. He's off to a torrid start, 17 points, 6 assists, almost 3 steals a game. You have the forwards here in Kosi Akamitu and Layman Sabali, who've also been really good, so look out for the Gales in the MAAC. And finally, we'll finish out with the Missouri Valley Conference, the old Valley here. We have the Northern Iowa Panthers here. Coach Ben Jacobson, been in Cedar Falls since 2007, and he's been in the tournament 4 times, but he hasn't been since 2016. So they're looking pretty sharp early. They got wins over South Dakota State and Furman defensively, forcing a ton of turnovers on offense, knocking down a lot of threes. Wing Leon Bonds in his second season with them after transferring from Boston College. He looks like an all-conference type player, averaging nearly 16 points per game on 62% shooting. What's scary is that Trey Campbell, the point guard, hasn't even really gotten going. So Northern Iowa has definitely got some stiff tests coming up. They got a road game at UC Irvine this weekend. So looking forward to seeing how that matchup goes, and looking forward to seeing if you and I can challenge near the top at the Missouri Valley Conference here. So those are the breakdown of the 3 teams here in the mid-majors for this Sunday recap show, and that is the Mid-Major Minute.
Sorry. I mean, we got some of these graphics and all the sounds that we got. The vibes are immaculate here on One and Done. Immaculate.
Snake Eyes. What's up, Snake Eyes?
Shout out to our guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, pushing the buttons tonight. It's been a minute. He's back in the saddle again. Good to see our guy Eric. Eric, the Blue.
I'm trying to drag him onto the screen one time here pretty soon, just so that people know he's still alive.
I know he is still alive, guys. At Fantasy Now for all the best football and the best fantasy information this side of the Mississippi. Which side of the Mississippi? Whatever side you're on, that's the one. Give him a follow for sure. Give us a follow at One and Done CBB as well. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Shout out to Darren for coming in and discussing the Chris Webber 2.0 that I felt so bad watching that live the other night. And that's weird. A game that they're going to want to have back for many reasons.
Weird.
But, they'll recover from that. Good.
At least it wasn't in I guess every game's a big game, but still.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to the live chat. Keep it rolling. It's time, Mike, for the old power rankings. The week 2 power rankings is going to see some fallers. But, Mike, that has probably more to do with what some other teams have done earlier in the year than it does their overall ceiling. So let's get to it now. Let's flash those first 5, 25 through 21 right there on your screen. St. Mary's making their debut, the aforementioned St. Mary's. 4-0 Kansas, 24 Vanderbilt, 23 Arkansas, 22 NC State, 21. Stands out to me, Mike. I guess Kansas falling a couple of spots. The Darren Peterson stuff is a little bit. It's very interesting, and it's very confusing whether or not he's even going to be around. He's got that lingering hamstring issue, and there's some talk that he may just sit out and focus on the draft, which is mind-blowing to me. But obviously that would shift our opinion very much so on Kansas, and that was sort of reflected here. I mean, they had a tough loss, but 3-1, just down a couple of spots to number 24. Yeah. What stands out to you out of these first 5 in our top 25?
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt quietly moving up a couple of spots, man. I believe they're even higher on KenPom. They're 12th, and that's really boosted by their offensive efficiency to start. But they really haven't been tested yet, and they don't really play anybody inside the top 50 at KenPom until conference play. So they can really help their non-con in late December with back-to-back road dates, just teams that are right outside the top 50. Memphis, although they didn't look good tonight against UNLV, and Wake Forest. So, yeah, looking at Vanderbilt, and they might be slotted higher nationally, but we have to kind of wait to see when they start playing some tougher competition what it really looks like.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's wait and see, just in general. Easy for me to say, man, that's a couple of times that the voice is broken a little bit tonight, and I think it's just because we've had so much excitement around here on One and Done. Whether it's the reaction shows,
Oh
we've
yeah,
been
those have
getting
been
those
good.
in, and we've had a lot of people hanging out with us on those. So push the subscribe button, hit the notification bells if you haven't already. Let's move on now to the next five: Wisconsin, Michigan State, Iowa State, Kentucky, and St. John's. One of those big fallers I alluded to earlier is Kentucky. I want to see how they fare without Lowe. Mike, you talked about it a little bit earlier on in the show. We'll see if Kentucky, if they can get through that big test against Michigan State coming up on Tuesday. But yeah, not the best news from our Pope squad for sure. What stands out to you with these five, Mike?
Yeah, so I mean, Wisconsin top 25 in offensive and defensive efficiency. This front court, man, is loaded. Nolan Winter, Austin Rapp, they look really good. John Blackwell's continuing his rise to stardom, and then Nick Boyd, man, like quietly just been a quality add at the point guard position. This guy's been to the Final Four a few years ago, so really nice roster. I think Wisconsin, could continue to move up our board here, man. They look pretty good.
No doubt about it. Moving on right ahead, because I don't want to pay attention to what Snake's Eyes is telling me in the live chat here. I'll take it over the other comments that I usually get about being old. I'll say that much. But moving on to 15 through 11 here: Texas Tech, North Carolina, BYU, Tennessee, and Alabama. A pretty big climb for the Volunteers, Mike. 6 spots. Nate Ament looks like he's going to fit that Connect Lanier role pretty seamlessly. It sort of felt like that from the jump. It really never felt, I mean, you want to see it, right? But
Yeah, you wanted to see it, yeah.
Or it just felt like it was him. Tennessee is currently 5th in defensive efficiency, like you would expect, and 1st in offensive rebound percentage. They haven't really been challenged yet, though. And, there's going to be like the 3-week stretch in late November to early December. That'll be what we're going to really pay attention to here. But some opportunities to build some momentum here for Tennessee, Mike.
Yeah, definitely want to see what Barnes has got when they start playing a little bit tougher competition. I think really the only thing that sticks out to me here, I still like Alabama. A ton of upside, man, with that backcourt. The front court has to rebound better. Did the reaction show. They got absolutely blasted by Purdue and TKR and Clough on the glass. They got to figure out how to get some rebounding. When your guards are leading in rebounds, it's not a good thing. And then Texas Tech still has this monster upside. Lawan Watts, once he gets it figured out, you're going to see a very small drop off from I think Darren Williams. I think just as far as like a fit within the offense, which we've been talking about. So definitely like those two teams. I still think they have Final Four type ceiling.
Not at this point. We'll wait and see for sure. And we're going to wait and see you hit that subscribe button right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. All right, you did it. And since you did that, now we're going to move on to teams 10 through 6. We've got a game currently live as we stream this show, this Sunday show. It's currently 75-61 Florida over Miami with 4 minutes to go here. Florida is number 10 in our power rankings right now. Michigan coming in at 9. The Zags are 8. UConn at 7 +5 there. The Zags +7. And then Louisville, Mike, jumping 10 spots in our power rankings. So many people surging up our ladder here in our power rankings. The Zags have put together a really nice non-con resume with wins over Oklahoma, Creighton, Arizona State. Shout out to Napsy Hustle. All those wins coming by double digits. EK looks unstoppable if, Mike, and this feels like a huge if for some reason, if he stops fouling, could please just stop hacking people, Graham, okay?
Please.
And then, of course, Tyon Grant Foster balling out of his mind. It's good to see that too, Mike.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's so awesome to see, man. He played out of his mind against Arizona State. We talked about the concerns with Michigan, Florida. This 3 big lineup. They kind of got the weird thing going on with Michigan too. So it's a long season. We'll see what they kind of do from there. Louisville, man, the outside shooting profile of these 3 guards, and then the Wooly kid off the bench, and then Denander Frew, man, like just like you don't have to, those glue guys at the 5 and the 4, right? Like Hadley just being able to do everything, shoot threes, play good defense, like make the smart plays. And then Frew just being on the offensive glass, timely, making the right play. Khalifa coming off the bench as the backup 5. Like this is a really good Louisville squad.
Darren saying we're giving Michigan way too much love. We want to hear what you have to say. If you're watching live right now, make sure you hop in that live chat and let us know what you think about our power rankings so far. And if you're watching later on, maybe with your cup of Joe and your bowl of oatmeal or whatever it is that you're eating in the morning, waking up to some one and done, make sure you hop in the comment section and let us know how you're feeling about it as we move on to our top 5 in our power rankings. And that starts off with, of course, Illinois, the old Fighting Illini, making a big jump into our top 5. Mike, they get a big-time win over Texas Tech this past Tuesday. Offensively, they look dynamic. They just look like a complete offense. And a lot of that has to do with our guy, Markovich, who is just a dynamo offensively. What's crazy is they're doing this without the big man, Ivisic, obviously, who's only played in one game. So shout out to Illinois, 9 spots up to number 5. Number 4, Arizona, who I saw the Caleb Love shout out in the live chat earlier. Sans Caleb Love, 4-0 and up 6 spots in our power rankings. Duke hanging out at number 3, dropping down a spot. Mike, Purdue number 2, Houston at number 1. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, the Houston thing's getting a little scary, although a solid win over Auburn. The teams they played early have kind of hung around. It's hard to argue with that Purdue's not the number 1 team after the big road win, man. But I just think if they faced off against each other, Houston, I would still give Houston a slight advantage. And then, man, how good are both Boozers, really? But, Cam Boozer's just an absolute beast, man. And Arizona's just got the resume. Love what the Illini look like. Still worry about them a little bit defensively. But yeah, these 5 feel like the clear cut, just based on everything that we've kind of seen, with a little scared. But if Fleming, Kingston Fleming's like you talked about, if he's going to be this good, at some point, Milo Suzanne's going to shoot the ball a lot better. Sharp is, just an experienced player. Tugler would stop fouling. He would be one of the best all-around players in the game. He just literally fouls all the time. So yeah, a little worried about Houston, but at the same time, not worried, especially with Isaiah Harwell, their other freshman. He looked really good today, too. So, man, as those guys get better, the ceiling just continues to climb for these guys, which is already, sky high at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, and this is going to keep changing, right? We got a lot of MTE tournaments coming up. We got a lot of big matchups coming up this week that I'm looking forward to. But hopefully we start to settle in here by, week 4 or 5. But, yeah, love what we got down here, my friend.
No doubt about it. Love it when we break down our power rankings on a Sunday. Houston staying up at the top there. Number 1, El Numero Uno at the top. Shout out to everybody that joined us in the live chat. Plenty of love for the Zags in the chat tonight. Loving that. Johnny K saying that they look back. We'll see, man. Of course, it's always an awesome team to watch. Hey, thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Shout out to our guy at Fantasy Nav for pushing those buttons tonight. Eric the Blue. Shout out to all of you for hanging out with us. The next time you're going to be able to hang out with One and Done, it's live before lock. That's right, LBL numero uno, 5 p.m. Central for the 6-game slate. If you're watching this live, it's going to be tomorrow. But if you're watching this, if you're catching it, maybe a little bit afterward, this is for Monday's slate. So make sure you hop on with Mike live before lock tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central. And then we're going to get a live reaction show on Tuesday around, 10:30-ish after the Michigan State-Kentucky game. We know a lot of you have been hanging out with us for those, and we hope that you join us for that one as well. Shout out to you, Mike, always El Capitan himself around these parts. At MC Holland 34 over there on X. Push all those buttons, like, subscribe, notification bells. We'll see you next time right here. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace.